We might clear that bottle before this episode's over.
Yeah, we might end it.
I mean, honestly, that was the goal. That ball was from Houston, so I don't want to go back home with it.
Oh, are you leaving tonight?
Yeah, man, 1 day trip. But thankfully, I'm not driving, so I mean, why not?
Got the partner in crime.
Right? That's the goal.
Well, Roman and Christian, how we doing?
Doing wonderful.
We chilling like a villain, brother.
So how do you two know each other?
Well, you see, when Christian first got here, we used an app called Grinder. And then
Yeah, that's crazy.
Nah, I'm kidding. So it was actually like a cocktail competition called Speed Rails, and it was actually Houston centered. Christian was actually one of the initial competitors from Austin.
Yeah, I kind of got thrown in last minute, honestly. John was pulling people up to do some watermelon pucker. What is it? I've been starting to list the ingredients
Mexican candies.
Mexican candy.
Bro,
shots.
you were in Houston like 10 minutes. Mexican candies are a way of life, man.
Yeah. And I just got pulled up there randomly, and afterwards he was like, "Hey, we had somebody, I guess, dropped out or something." And my roommate Jonah was doing speed rails the following week after that. So I just joined and kind of stuck with it and fell in love with the people and the program and OTM and the whole project.
Yeah, man. Big shout out, John. Yo, where are you
Big
from?
shout out, John.
Where are you from initially again? Like originally?
I was born in Austin, but I was never raised here.
Got you.
And you're from where?
I'm from a small town called Rosenberg, Texas, about 30 minutes outside of Houston.
Have you guys worked together behind the bar before?
We've done like little contests and events. We've kind of organized stuff, but never formally worked.
Okay.
We've never worked like a scheduled shift together.
Right.
Or anything.
Do you think you two would get along well?
Behind the bar? No, I don't think so.
Nah, dude, I'm like a tornado of just pure chaos.
Do you like it that way?
Hell yeah.
Yeah?
I mean, I'm a bartender. Of course I do.
Are you a messy bartender? Because chaos sometimes.
I'm chaos, but I'm a very organized and clean bartender.
I like to describe,
I'd like to think, at least.
I like to describe it as controlled chaos, but not everyone else sees it that way. You dig what I'm saying?
As long as you don't leave like a tin on the back shelf where you do garnishes, then
I hate that shit.
Bro,
I hate
so
that
much.
shit.
I'm not a fucking animal, man. Come on.
Okay. That's the chaos I think.
You sounded a little bit like an animal, though.
I mean, I always kind of sound like an animal. I mean, I'm sorry I'm not an Austin guy, so I'm kind of sounding a little bit animalistic compared to y'all, but I mean, I'm sorry. I didn't grow up watching Frasier, but I mean, I do. Yeah, I'm not an animal completely.
Man's bringing up Frasier again.
Well, I'm in front of a microphone. Like, I don't know what else to reference into, you know?
I don't even know what Frasier is, for being honest. My pop culture is so bad.
I'll have to send you something.
Okay, I heard.
Yeah. So on your Instagram page, it says brand ambassador, but it says specialty bartender, right?
Yeah, something of the sorts.
Yeah. So explain the brand ambassador part of it to me.
So brand ambassador, I've worked with a few brands and like really try to push their product onto different markets and different bars, because I work at like a good spread of different bars. I think right now I'm currently like to where I can pick up a shift across like maybe 6 or 7 different bars back home in Houston. So from there, it's like I definitely have some input on it. So at that point, I really focus on the cultivation of my brand rather than, kind of staying loyal to one place, because I saw our generation more so as like different from the past generation where a lot of people would grow and build the same company. With me, I always try to market myself. I always try to stay like loyal to myself first. So I always wanted to have sort of that leverage where, hey, I can come in here, work one shift. I do have some things I can offer because I've learned some things from the different scale of bars I've been through throughout the years. And different kind of brands sort of noticed that and really took attention to it. So I definitely do have a say in cocktail menus here and there. And I think that sort of like kind of caught the eye of certain people. And from there, just like, it just kind of developed to where now a few brands kind of reach out to me and they're like, hey, we kind of want to push this onto you, like, and we really want to get this into this bar. How can you help us, and what can you do to sort of like assist in that process? And honestly, I think like bar culture's kind of shifted from where management was like sort of the pinnacle to where now it's like kind of like contract and consulting, but not what you would exactly expect from that.
Right.
To sum it up.
I think a huge part of the industry is like having favoritism towards like bartenders and people you worked with in the past and you work well with. So it seems like you work well with, at least enough people to be able to gain that outreach. How did you like connect with those people?
So for me personally, I'm aware, like I try to stay conscious of different styles, and a lot of that comes from a sales background. every bartender, it's an art form at the end of the day. Like what we're doing is poetry and motion. It's art. You express yourself through the way you shake, the way you mix, the spirits you tend to gravitate towards. That's your palette. That's your identity. So from there, what I try to do is really cultivate that and really try to relate to it. Like if I see a bartender doing something a certain way, and that really kind of caught my attention with speed rails kind of going across the state. Like different people have different tendencies, and I really wanted to open up my horizons and kind of expand and really be able to relate to everyone rather than being in one little box. Like the generation before us, their entire careers were just kind of subjected to one company, and their thought is, okay, one day I'm going to move up to middle management. Well, why? I mean, you have a whole world in front of you. There's bars all over the state. Why are you stuck in one spot? So that's kind of like, I'm from a small town. My whole thought process is I want to expand as big as I can. I want to shake as many hands as I can. And I want to relate to everyone that walks in through the door, whether they're a guest, whether they're a bartender, whether they're, a bar back. Everyone has your next opportunity waiting for them.
It's very true.
I admire that. I think for some people that stay in one place, though, they just get comfortable. And sometimes that's not always a bad thing,
Oh, for sure not. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some great companies to work for, and I do admire people that spend the duration of their careers at one place because they know everything about the building. And, so I grew up in the industry. My mom's a GM. Like, she started as a dishwasher. She did the whole American dream thing, especially being an immigrant. And I think she's the greatest GM ever. So much respect for her. That's how, I thought this whole thing was cool. But I also think, just because she went as far as to even designing her ballrooms, learning the architectural process of it. But I think there's just so much more you can do when you expand,
Oh, I agree 100%. So what is your specialty for you?
Honestly, my whole philosophy is it's best if you don't have a specialty. Go everywhere you can, touch everything you can, and be a master at nothing, but at the same time a master of everything.
So what do you mean by specialty on your page then?
Specialty means I can do I can reach niches that other people can't.
Okay.
Just because I've tried to really reach out and learn something. Like for me, I always keep a dive bar shift because dive bars, they can teach you things other bars can't. That trauma bonding, dude, you can't do that shit in craft. Let's be honest. You can't do that shit in fine dining.
Way more in craft cocktails than I ever have in a dive bar.
I fucking love a good dive bar.
I love a good dive bar.
Bro, dive bars are the shit. But that's the end of the day, dude. We're Americans. That's the cornerstone of our culture. It's just that hustle and bustle.
That's true.
That's your connection to the people. That's your connection to your clientele. That's your connection to your audience. And you want to keep that. You want to, it's nice to have these craft things. It's nice to have fine dining. I've seen both sides of it. But at the end of the day, you want to keep that connection to everybody. You want to keep that connection to the everyman.
Would you say connections your specialty then?
Yeah, honestly.
He's got a point.
Yeah, if you were to reach out and say that, yes, I would. But I honestly think that's not necessarily like a big trait that I was taught. I think that's something that everyone could do if you simply walked into an Applebee's or just respect the Applebee's people, but whatever you think the lowest tier bar is, and literally appreciate the busser. That's where it starts because you have to appreciate that's a man trying to make a living for his family. So at that point, you have to open up your horizons and think to yourself, this is this man's technique. This is why he's doing it. And this is why he perceives his craft different from me. And what can I learn from this man that can carry on to, fine dining or maybe craft or whatever you think your goals are.
Okay. What do you think is something that you've learned the most out of being, because you've been a bartender for a long time now?
Yeah, you can say that.
I mean, it sounds like a long time.
Sounds like a long time. 15.
It does sound like that.
15, 16. It's a long time. I think 5 years is a long time. I've been bartending since I was 20.
Theoretically, if my bartender, if my age and bartender years wouldn't be old enough to drink. So I mean, it's not anything crazy,
I mean, Guero's a good point of somebody that wasn't able to drink and started bartending too, though.
Valid. Well, I mean, I haven't been bartending that long. I mean, the Black Parade album was out before I started bartending. So I mean, it just puts
that's fair.
Perspective,
That's great, actually.
So, what's your biggest takeaway from being in the bar?
So, I honestly think it just comes back to the people.
The whiskey.
Yeah, the whiskey. You should definitely hand me that.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, you should definitely hand me that. I love that. I don't think there's anything in the Dr. Pepper vial.
Hey, it's a nice glass. It doesn't matter.
I love this concept that like the liquor is not even in the flask.
Well, I mean, you need something to hold a Dr. Pepper, right? Hey man, I don't go to your house and like judge what you keep.
The bottle of the
Hey,
Dr.
hey, I don't
Pepper
go.
comes in.
Look, dude, I don't go to like your house and like judge what you keep your Dr. Pepper in. All right.
I don't switch the bottles. So.
I mean, why not? Like that's so much sexier than a bottle of Dr. Pepper. I mean, they do a great job. But I'm just saying, like,
You two probably would not work well together, but it'd be fucking comical behind the bar.
I think we would make a lot of money.
Yeah.
oh, 100%.
But it'd be
I think we'd
comical.
make a lot of money.
It'd be funny.
We would hate each other for like 8 hours, but afterwards, it'd be pretty cool. I mean,
yeah.
I would convince him to take a few Dr. Pepper fucking flash shots.
I've realized like if I bartend drunk enough, 'cause I'm not allowed to drink at the bar that I'm at now. But working for Superstition and working for like past venue spaces and stuff, I never really cared how other people bartended that much because, liquid courage.
Yeah.
I was kind of, and I always like share wells with people. I never work only just in one well the whole time. Like it's like glue jumping back and forth, like helping people out between different wells that get hit. I'm a floater.
Well, yeah. When I went to
floater.
visit you just this past weekend, you were down at the far end, and you came all the way over, and you were kind of floating around. Yeah, so I watched it happen.
So funny enough, I learned that skill because also, excuse me.
Hold, please.
You had the entire time to take a swig while this man was talking, and you waited until it was your turn to talk.
Out of respect for him, I mean, come on. I'm apparently his
But the
guest.
camera's going to be on you while you're talking, so
Yeah.
Okay,
You see what I'm saying?
my camera, anyways. So like, I learned.
He
like,
is a media nightmare. It's great.
I know,
it's
right?
really not bad.
So like, I learned that whole jumping around skill because like, I started off as a bar back when I was like really young, right? And I always had, and like culturally, I'm Guatemalans, and like all the bar backs are Guatemalans. So I've always had like this weird connection to them, to where I'm like, okay, hey, paisano, okay, cool. And so like I see them jumping around. I kind of see them like using that size advantage. Like they're smaller, kind of compact. They kind of know how to like do shit. And I was like, yo, I could do this. I think that's kind of like my basis of bartending, just fitting into tight spaces, kind of doing your thing real quick, and like, yeah.
You're describing a bar back.
Basically, honestly, I think I'm a glorified bar back, just thrust into bartending and like trying to make sense of it.
Bar backing gave me so much to be able to work with bartending. And if I didn't work in like fine dining atmospheres or work at the resort as a bar back, I would nowhere near be to the caliber of a bartender I am today. And I wouldn't be a floater by any means necessary either.
Realistically, I think bar backs are what this country was built off of.
Yeah.
That is
They're
honestly
the unsung heroes of the bar, the way construction workers were and built New York.
even construction workers, like bar backs literally do the grunt work, but they also find such creative, unspoken ways of doing the grunt work that it's just like that's worth mentioning and no one talks about.
I agree with that entirely.
Like
Yeah.
that's a whole art form right there.
No, they don't get enough credit for sure, and sometimes they don't get paid enough
I agree
either.
with that entirely.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%.
But
I mean, that
no.
helps me out. But
Yeah, I mean, no, but
I mean, neither do I, so there's not shit I can do, but like
But that's why if you always have a good bar back, like you have to literally just throw a little bit of cash at the end of the night.
oh, 100% we all do.
always,
Yeah,
always.
because you will have a loyal bar back, and you will never ever have a problem. They'll make sure everything's taken care of.
No,
for you.
it's your fucking drummer. It's your backbone. It really is. You know.
That's space.
Entirely.
Yeah, we're following their rhythm. I mean, that's totally a drummer.
That's 1,000%.
100%.
Yeah.
Same turnover rate too.
That is something. Well, at Devil May Care, they have like no turnover rate for their bar backs. We have the same people that have been working there since it opened, basically.
But do they
Everybody
do they
else
take care of their
is.
people?
No, they do.
Okay, so that's
Nova,
why
Nova takes care of their.
it's tough to find a good bar back, man.
Yeah, it's so tough to find a good bar back. Like
At least one that'll stay around, because eventually he'll get jaded and want to bartend and then start fucking around. And
That is a weird thing in Houston. We have a weird plethora of them. Like I would honestly say, so that's another thing like I kind of want to touch on. Going across different cities across Texas, I kind of learned like the nuances of like bartending. Dallas bartenders definitely have their own style. Austin bartenders definitely have their own style. Houston bartenders have their own style, but the one advantage we have over all of y'all, we have really dope bar backs. Like bar backs will stay there for 20 years and be like super committed. Like my mom's had the same crew for like the past 30 years now.
that's amazing.
Dude,
That also is a
so it's
testament
crazy.
of
I think that's holding us as a city.
that's also a testament of your mother's management, though, too. So that's pretty impressive as well.
She has her moments, but regardless, I mean, any given establishment, like,
Any place that stays for 30 years, like I can't stay for at a place for like more than like a year. Like I love.
you just get bored.
I just get bored. I jump around. I find other opportunities, make new connections. You know.
No, I agree with that because like I'm aware I don't want one job full time.
Yeah.
I have to have like between 3 and 5.
Yeah. I mean,
Just keep it
yeah, I have
fresh, you know.
multiple.
As long as you're not burning bridges when you
Never.
leave those places, then there's nothing wrong with doing that.
Never.
You know?
When I started Speed Rails, I was a Dave and Buster's bartender.
I
when
remember
first moved
that.
to
Like
Austin.
that was just so
Yeah.
that was so crazy to me.
And then I just like got one opportunity from a person that came and visited Dave and Buster's, and then I got thrown into venue spaces like throughout NoCo.
Do you think you learned a good amount at Dave and Buster's though?
I learned that it learned how to humble me as a bartender
Okay.
because I was working with the shittiest ingredients. I had no second shaker. Like you don't have a 22-ounce tin, you don't even have a 16-ounce tin,
Mm.
and so you have to find like different ways to maneuver. But like, I would always make my own. I would always make my own cocktail for the day, and then sell that cocktail all day to people. Be like, oh, you like the menu? Like, no, rip that up. Let me make you something and make the experience more personable. And it always made me a lot of money at that place.
Honestly, the dive bar struggle is just not spoken enough about. Because like for me, that's where I learned the one shaker method. Like for me,
Yeah.
it's like I learned okay, a Cosmo is the same as a lemon drop, kind of the same as a margarita. These are the same base ingredients. I only have one shaker at my disposal right now. Like, why not just like keep pushing the same things, build this rapport with the guests, and like learn how to just stay occupied.
Cut corners.
Yeah, dude.
If you learn how to cut corners at like dive bars to be able to make things taste right, I would argue it's not even cutting corners. I make a lemon drop pretty fucked up. Like I just put simple syrup, equal parts simple, equal lemon. Like there's nothing cocktail experience about that. It's
Right.
not a real lemon drop. There's no Cointreau in it. Like those type of things.
But like, where's that drop off? So where? That's a weird line.
Drop off comes with volume, in my opinion.
So, on the contrary, because I've seen some busy ass dive bars.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, where is that liaison? So I mean, dive bars are their own thing, right?
Yep.
But the dive bar struggle is also like you're dealing with probably like 50% of the population. You're dealing with the working class. You're dealing with the blue collars.
Yep.
That's kind of like the local watering hole has been around since like colonial times. So when you think about it, that's kind of what this country was built off of, like literally just dive bars. I mean, you ever fucking read Johnny Tremaine? That dude was at a dive bar. Robert Frost, dive bar frequenter. Ian Fleming, dive bar frequenter. They're all
Every
just
Western you've ever seen your whole life.
dive bars. That's literally the cornerstone of this country is built on dive bars. So when you think about it, like the people that work at dive bars and find ways to cut corners and just find ways to kind of like really run the table.
Maybe cut corners isn't the right term we should be using. Maybe like innovate would be a better
But like
way of going about it.
So, for example, when I think cutting corners, like as a craft cocktail bartender, you want to use a jigger.
right.
At a dive bar, I'm probably not going to use one,
Yeah.
especially if it's high volume. Fuck out of here,
Yeah.
because it's a turn and burn type of place, right? So that's how I feel about cutting corners, so to speak. That's the way I see it. But if you see it a different way, please.
Now, if you can take elements of both, like if you can drop pour at a dive bar,
Mm-hmm.
dude, you got like you can honestly make better drinks than everyone there, waste less product. Like all you have to do is learn to drop pour, and that is a craft element. But if you can put that craft element towards a dive bar, you can make more money than you could at a craft place.
That's why I like working multiple bars. That's why you like working multiple
Dude,
bars.
exactly, because you can take these things, you can take these life lessons and really kind of parlay it into something else completely. At the end of the day, it all comes down to sociology. You're kind of recognizing what you're doing, and just you're doing what the Rolling Stones did in the '60s. Like you're taking a concept and you're giving it to a different class of people or a different kind of people, and really introducing and educating them. And realistically, like, dude, we're basically professional rock stars. Like we're doing this,
Yeah. You play a stage, right?
right?
Yeah. That's the reason I flare. That's the reason why I've wanted to learn cocktails versus just learning like regular, just being behind the bar. Nothing about being behind the bar meant anything to me unless I didn't have knowledge, right?
100%.
Because then you look like an idiot. You just look like the idiot bartender that was a bar back that never learned anything after that when he got promoted. Like,
Okay, let's say you're both stuck working in one place. You have to do it for a year.
Okay.
What would be your dream place?
Strip club,
A strip club.
100%.
yeah,
Everyone
yeah.
there's fucked up. We're all going on vices. At the end of the day, I mean, at the end of the day, if we're bartenders,
that's very much a rock star lifestyle.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm the only dude there. Like, I mean, I can relate to everyone there. But if we're being honest, like, I mean, definitely a place where like I have to be the attraction, because then I can like I've never really wanted to be in control
And
of a bar.
titties are always.
I can't say I've ever seen a male bartender at a strip club. That usually it's males and males.
Realistically, I just want to be the like the head bar back that like makes cocktails and people think it's cool. And like, okay, here's 100, kid. I want to be that guy. I want to be that guy.
You want to like pull off that one guy to the side and be like, let me make you something special.
Exactly.
And then he
You
just
see,
falls in
that's
love with
honestly
it.
that's a dream right there, dude.
Yeah,
like
that sounds
that's
super
capitalism
weird
at
in a
its
strip club.
no, I mean that's capitalism at its finest. I'm
That is
being
true.
honest. Like that's
I still have never seen a male bartender at a strip club.
That's why it's just a dream. You asked,
yeah, 100%.
you asked,
You know what? Maybe that's my next goal. Maybe I'm gonna break that barrier.
you could.
Like, you know, I can
Break
get in with
this
the Guatemalans, like just
ceiling.
dab everybody up. You know, like we got Clarissa back home. Shout out to her. Like we're just gonna
Casa
we're gonna make
Queen.
the stream.
The queen hates me.
Bro, Casa Queen is. Oh man, I hate that I'm in Austin right now because if I drop that in Houston, everyone would be like, yo.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude. Anyways, what's your dream, bro?
It's a tough one to beat.
I would be so I would be a horrible menace if I worked in a strip club, but I think my dream place would probably be when I first started this whole service industry experience. I worked as a bar back at Waldorf Astoria for Hilton Hotel in Boca Raton, and that place is now just called the Boca Raton Resort. But I would love to go back and like bartend there at the Speakeasy because it would be just a very big full circle moment for me.
Okay.
I think if I had to working for Hilton was like probably one of the best experiences I had working for a company. It was the longest I ever spent with the company, which is like around like 2.5 years. And that's probably like I would never come and work for a Hilton in Austin at all. Your demographic of people here just doesn't appreciate. Like even working at Devil May Care, which I love because of, I think that's the precipice of like innovation that a bartender has, as well as, like the craft experience, but also the volume that you get. Like you hit every aspect on the head, right? But working for that company being held, like people don't have the appreciation for cocktails, and they don't even understand, and that's when it goes down to cutting corners in like a dive bar where you could make a lemon drop and a margarita and serve one of either other one in a shot glass and in a margarita glass with a rimmed salt, and the customer would probably not be able to tell the difference. And that would not fly in Florida. That wouldn't fly in New York. That wouldn't fly in most places in Cali. But for some reason here in Texas, people are not educated in that scene as much. And I think it attributes to not cutting corners versus like the difference between like using a jigger and not a jigger, being precise versus finding like actual ways, because finding actual ways to get through your shift on a busy shift.
Yeah.
And sometimes that one interaction can save you another 20 minutes, to be honest, down the road. Like,
Based.
I mean, I can definitely appreciate there not being a sweet and sour on the gun at places I work.
thank you.
You know what I mean?
I hate sweet and sour.
Yeah, I can appreciate just having to use the lemon and lime,
Yeah.
because that shit's terrible.
It's horrible. It tastes awful.
But when I was younger, it was just like, oh, it's easy. Fuck it. Here's your margarita.
Yeah.
So there's no true balance to that either, because like I think I read somewhere like there's nobody's balance of lemon and simple is exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
So the sweet and sour and the gun is super subjective, which is why it comes off fucking god awful, because it's just the Coca-Cola executives telling you like, yo,
But
this
it's
is what
pushing
you
it.
Mhm.
use.
It also gets nasty in the lines, but
That it does.
yeah.
I don't drink water from the gun anymore,
I don't drink water from the gun.
like ever. And I know it's supposed to be filtered out, but then I started thinking about it like, I don't drink anything from the gun.
Yeah.
Really, you know what I mean?
Everything tastes bad from the gun anyways,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Yeah.
Another thing I appreciate about working at like Devil, or when I was working at Superstition, is they have a gun in the volume bar, but upstairs we used all fresh ingredients, and we would have to throw out all our juices within the next week.
Do you have like canned beverages for everything as well?
Yeah, exactly. So like just everything was fresh and moldless.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I mean, like event bartending, it's always cans and stuff like that, or bottles. And once you get used to what you're doing, it's fine. It might be a little annoying at first if you've just been on the gun your entire career,
Yeah.
but you start to appreciate it more, I think.
You start to miss it a little bit. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
So it'd be like, damn, this wouldn't happen if I had a gun right now, a soda gun. Well, you've done a few events though recently.
Well,
What was your favorite one?
ooh, honestly, I think it was like going back home because, like, mind you, I'm from a pretty rural town, and so like when I go there, it's like, hey, this guy's a bartender. He works in the city, and so I got hired for a wedding, and it was like there's like fucking horses running behind me, and there's like cows and stuff, and like
Hell yeah.
I think somebody asked me to like move some hay in the middle of it, and I was like, there's like 20 people asking for drinks. What the fuck? Like, I think this should come first. No, it's okay, mijo. There's Modelo over there, and I just like it kind of just put in perspective like how far I'd really come.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like these people, okay, they want like the fancy city drinks, which is just an adios motherfucker and like, you know, a green tea.
But that goes with like the uneducation of, I think,
Right.
Texas with cocktails. To be
And at the end of the day, man, because like I did have my stints where I bartended in other places, and like I worked fine dining. I kind of caught a cool like palate for it. But at the end of the day, man, there's no place like home.
yeah.
So I kind of do.
Nothing like a Modelo and a tequila shot.
Dude, exactly. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, that's just, it's,
Give me that, cheers. Give me some of that.
oh, 100%.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that bottle's definitely going to be gone before it's
Oh.
all said and done.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna Uber home.
Congratulations, son. But anyways, your mother and I are very proud. Nah, man, like,
Well, what's your end game? What's your goal right now? And then what's the end game on that?
honestly, the events are just sort of like, so I can get like a really big knowledge of it. Because for me, like, so to tell you that, I have to start from the beginning.
Sure.
I was in 5th grade. I saw Pierce Brosnan order a Vesper Martini. And I was like, yo, that was the coolest shit I've ever seen. And I was like, what was that? Because, you know, it's a small town. And I was like, whatever that was, I want to do it. And so then I really started looking into bartending and really just knew that was kind of the path I wanted to follow. And it was weird as fuck because you're from a small town and nobody like, the fuck is a martini? What the fuck are you talking about? Chicken not stirred? You know, it's weird. Like it looks like it's a, no, is this kid, what the hell's wrong with him? But then it's like all of these years later, I think that bartending was just sort of my way of like, you know, in the past year, it's taken me all over the state. It's given me some media coverage. It's given me like some cool things. Even this podcast, like it's pretty dope. So I think it's just like,
Helped you become a rock star.
I wouldn't say all of that, man, but like
You're
It-
already one.
it feels like that sometimes, man. But it's just like, it feels like I just want to experience as much as I can through bartending. A lot of people have like a monetary goal, which, okay, good for them. Okay, if you want this award, if you want this monetary thing, that's dope. And I lost the final of Speed Roast twice. So that kind of was also like a thing where I was like, I mean, what did I really gained a lot from that though. I'm from like a really small town. I probably shouldn't be here to begin with. I shouldn't be doing a podcast in Austin right now. But, you know, like at the end of the day, I'm still a fucking hell of a bartender. You can throw me in a dive bar. You could throw me in a fine dining. You could fucking throw me as a GM at an Applebee's and I'll turn it around. Like
Applicable to everything.
exactly. So it's just like, I just want as many life experiences from this shit as I can get.
That's a gift, man.
Yeah, dude.
It is.
No, dude, like I kind of
Your
caught it.
specialty, if you will.
There it is.
Right,
Boom.
there it is. Okay, full circle.
Yeah.
Right? But no, the whole goal was
He
just,
charges by the hour. Just so you know.
Just to hype you up.
yeah,
Yeah. So pay up.
fair.
Yeah, I don't
Well, I know how I'm
know.
spending the rest of this hour.
So you're saying the goal is really just to get as many connections and learn as many things as possible.
Yeah.
What do you want to do with that though? You'll see just how it goes.
Absolutely nothing. Like it's pretty much just like it's the equivalent of academia, man. I just want to learn as much as I can about this field before it's all over.
Well, I think it's amazing. I was talking to Cash and Nate just last week about it, and it's just wild how we can all come together and what we can all do for each other. And it's a good community. And the fact that you came up here from Houston is amazing. The fact that you decided to be in on this with both of us is amazing.
Thank you.
And we can continue to just grow and do so many different things. And it all started with this industry.
Yeah, I love this, and I thank you for inviting me on. By the way, I really appreciate it.
Well, it's him.
It's true.
He said this is my guy. So
Oh, dude.
Rome, I fucked with Rome the moment that I met him at my first speed rails, not his first speed rails, but that was your second. So
I mean,
so you've done
that was your
two.
second.
I was involved in the first one really. So I did the first one. I was really heavily involved in organizing the second, and then the third was another one I competed in, and then from there we've just kind of like organized it. Because at that point, like, it's like, okay, you're at this point, you have this knowledge. What do? There's certain ways you can pass it on. You gotta be middle management and hate your life and just be slave to capitalism and restaurant culture, or you can find like other ways to pass it on. So for me, it was like I'm gonna pass it on in the most like non-monetary way possible, and that's kind of like I'm just gonna help people get themselves out there. Because at the end of the day, man, like I think speed roasts for me, or just like anything I've ever done, was just the media, the content. You always just want to put your face in front of shit. You always want to put a face behind the bartender, and you really want to, in this new kind of era, you really want to sell yourself as a character rather than just someone who's slanging drinks.
1000%.
You want to be memorable.
Because everybody there is a bartender. You being a character was really, I think, important about being like an important bit of speed rails. You know,
100%.
and you played that really well, my friend. You did great. Like
My father always told me that bartending is 85% personality, and that still stands true to this day.
you think it's that much though?
I do, because
Okay.
your craft goes into that. The way that you can pour an ounce of something, but it's how you do it. It's how you handle yourself, how you carry yourself while you're doing it.
Mhm.
So it's your style that goes with it. So yeah,
That's very fair. I think a lot of the first 2 years of bartending had nothing to do with style for me. It had everything to do with like trying to gain as much knowledge.
Oh, learning
You
and
feel
stuff.
like
Yeah,
sit
yeah.
Here, you know, but the past 3 years has definitely been how can I be more fluid? How can I look sexier behind the bar?
No, man, you're on fire, man. I've seen it.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You do good stuff, man. So, and I've been doing this a long time, long time.
I appreciate that.
So
How long were you there at Devil the other night? It was.
I don't even remember. I think I had.
I didn't.
That means you
I felt
did
like you
your
were there for
job.
like 45 minutes. Oh, we were fucking.
Well, I mean, if he
getting
doesn't remember his
ass-
time there, you did your job.
Well, no, I
There's like quite a bit of people.
I remember. I just don't remember how long, because I had that shot of fucking chilled Hennessy that
Yeah.
somebody got me, which I didn't want at all, but whatever. And then a
Whoever
cocktail.
chilled the Hennessy just sounds like absolutely
Menace.
horrible. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but whatever. I still did it.
So camaraderie, you know.
Yeah. But no, let's say I was there for, let's go 30 to 40 minutes.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. Probably
Something
like
like that.
45 minutes at most.
But no, I watched you do your thing, man, and you're good. You're really good. So
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
keep doing that. It's good.
Bartending is definitely an art form, and you've made it an art form, and you make an art form. I still need to come visit you at your spot.
Definitely. Yeah,
But,
man.
I
Whatever.
mean, this is still an art form. you know?
Absolutely. And this is my main thing. You know what I mean? And I want to continue to expand, and also the people that don't know who you are yet, they're about to know who you are from my stuff, and vice versa. So it's all one big family.
Yeah. Community is amazing here in Austin.
But we'll have a little fun since we have a little bit of time left. Let's just talk. Let's see. Let's do Rome, give me your biggest pet peeve from behind the bar first. Now, this can be your biggest pet peeve with somebody you work with or a guest at the bar. Just your biggest pet peeve all around.
Definitely a guest at the bar. For me, I don't like closed-minded people. Like, I hate people that don't understand, hey, I'm a professional. Okay, why are you questioning everything I'm doing? Okay, there's too much ice in your drink. How the fuck do you know that? There's not enough liquor in your drink. Dude, I use a jigger. You don't do this professionally. I don't fucking go to your office, go to your cubicle and say, hey, you didn't send those invoices to Mary in accounting the right way. Don't tell me how to do my fucking job.
I never thought about it like that, but it's a very valid point.
That's literally how you do it. Because, like, think about it. We're on a stage. So fucking,
It's also your fucking living room. That's the way I see that too.
yeah.
Just so you know.
well, I'm more, like, for me, it's professional. So I'm like, dog, I don't fucking go to your cubicle. And I've been on that side of it. That's why I get annoyed. I don't go to your fucking cubicle and say, hey, why didn't you follow up on that sales call to, Folsom Foods, whatever the fuck you're doing this week? Like, I'm not that guy. Why are you being this guy at my job right now?
Right. And what I mean by living room is this. So you're behind the bar, and say you work at a place, for example, Devil May Care, and somebody starts doing some dumb shit on the couch. That's your living room. That's part of your stuff. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's
So
very true.
that's the way I see it. So you have the stage and then the living room.
Yeah, there is a bit of personability that goes into.
If you care about the establishment you work at.
Yeah, or if you have any sense of pride. And
Right.
most people that work behind a bar
Yeah.
have a lot of it,
Yeah.
and which is a good thing. It's not a bad thing.
So how do you deal with that, honestly? Like, do you brush it off? You don't take it personally?
I don't take it personally because, like, I mean, I definitely have moments of that. Like, when a cop pulls me over, I hate their guts, but I mean, technically, like they have a quota to meet. They have their jobs. Like
That's fair.
they picked a shitty career path. It's not on me.
And Christian, what about you?
Um,
Again, it can be either with someone you work with or a guest at the bar.
I think my biggest pet peeve, and this is gonna like piss people off probably, I just don't throw my tin in the dump sink ever. I don't do it, and I don't understand. I don't give a fuck about how busy it is.
Thank you.
I am like very efficient in the terms of even the way that I clean things. That I'm not going to be wasting much time because I'm not going to spend the next 30, 40 seconds washing all 5 of my tins that I just threw in the sink to bust out 7 tickets, which could have been done with 2 shakers. That's my personal opinion. But I just don't throw it in the dump sink because I do tricks with my tins, and sometimes that ends up in certain places like on the ice. And I can't do those tricks if I just had to wipe orange or rinse a bunch of espresso martini off the bottom of a tin, which would make no sense anyways. That's my personal opinion.
I'm right there with you. No, I love that one. I love both of those answers, honestly. And it also depends on the establishment you're at because some things are easier to clean than others in certain places and the style.
Some ingredients are easier to clean.
Yeah.
Like if you have to, we had a a raspberry mojito, dragonberry mojito back in Florida that you had to shake. And we had spiders and it clogged every single one of our tin rinsers, the spiders, all the way around the bar outside because just of this one cocktail and all the seeds from the raspberries and the mint, and none of us bartenders were gonna sit there and take a scrubber and scrub it out. Like that's just too much, like especially when you're getting out at 5 a.m. in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, it was horrible.
All right, my random question here. Irish cream in an espresso martini, yes or no?
It's a great question.
It just popped in my head.
This is a great question.
I'm not going to say anything. I'll listen to what both of you have to say first.
Okay, so where I worked back in Houston and where I kind of got my footing from was actually the top. It was actually the top buyer of Mr. Blacks in the entire world.
Mm.
So I am just so like I have punched in like no Irish cream in my head so hard. It's like one of those weird things. We've all worked at that bar where we have this weird like kind of like tick. At this point, I make an espresso martini one way. You either like it or you don't.
Heard.
I'll even roast the fucking marshmallow for you, but like we don't do it any other way. If you ask for like a super creamy espresso martini, not happening.
Okay. Christian?
Ooh. So me personally, I don't mind cream in an espresso martini, but this all has to do with like the rest of the ingredients. Like if you use Mr. Black in my espresso martini, I'd probably ask for Irish cream because I don't like Mr. Black, to be honest.
Yeah.
But if you add like Borghetti, which I love as a coffee liqueur, then absolutely not. Like don't drown out it with some Baileys.
You're right.
And like my roommate Jonah, great bartender, one of the best bartenders I ever met. We like both are from Florida, worked at the same bar in Florida, and both out here in Austin now. And he is a diehard Irish cream guy in his espresso martinis. And every single time we'll get all tequila espresso martinis, but only that one guy, that poor bartender that has to make our espresso martinis, always has to make it his with cream. But it's just not my thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with no.
Yeah.
No Irish cream for me. But also, I'm a little weird. I think that gin and coffee go very, very well together. So for me, a gin espresso martini just sets it all off.
So are you actually like a coffee drinker in your day-to-day life or?
No, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah, I don't do caffeine at all, really.
So when you drink an espresso martini, what flavor palette are you going for? You're going more
You're a bartender that doesn't do caffeine.
No.
No,
Believe it or not, I'll tell you what, this is crazy, but I'll tell you this. Up until August, I didn't drink for 6 years.
Wow.
Fair.
Yep. So it's just one of those things. But if I'm going to have one, I'll do like the Botanist gin.
I love Botanist.
I just think it's clean and it's not too...
Not too herbaceous.
Yeah, because
the coffee.
Yeah, and because some of that stuff gets really sweet sometimes.
It also has some Speyside roots, so it kind of touches like that copper tin, like single distillation vibe. I dig it.
I kind of like that. That's actually a really good touch.
No, it's true.
So I'll do that.
How do we feel about Negronis?
I'll let you go first.
That's
That
actually
got really quiet.
that's actually a good story. So I'm never gonna forget. I was working at an Italian restaurant, and I was a bar manager, and they gave me one floor shift because that fucking happens to every like fucking bar manager, right? So I have my one floor manager shift a week, and it's this 60-year-old super like conservative old school guy from Canada. He'd worked. This is his first bartending job since like the early 2000s. He was used to making like purple Gatorades and fucking Vegas bombs and shit. And this family, like this man comes with his family, and like the wife asks for like a ranch water, and like the dude asks for a Negroni. Mind you, it's an Italian restaurant.
Mind you, a ranch water is like purely a Texas thing.
Right. So I mean, you can just get a glimpse of how suburbia this family is.
Yeah.
So I walk up to him, and he's super pressed. I'm like, hey, Mr. Blank, you're gonna believe it out anyways. Hey, what's wrong? And he was like, I don't know how to make a Negroni. And I was like, okay, Mr. Blank, it's all right. Like, let me walk you through it. It's okay. I've done this millions of times. And he was like, no, I don't want to make a fucking fairy drink. Back in my day, back in fucking Saskatchewan, we used to drink whiskey and water like real men. I'm tired of these fairy drinks. About a Negroni.
About a Negroni is crazy, to be honest.
And I still think to myself, like, am I less of a man for ordering a Negroni? I kind of like the mezcal Negronis.
Do you still think that?
I think that every day.
That's so great,
Because,
actually.
dude, I was like 24 years old, and this man's like 47. And it's like, this is technically the elder. I understand I'm the manager on duty, but like,
Yeah, but there's a bit of like,
he's
praise.
kind of spitting right now. Like,
Yeah.
I dig it. I don't want to make a Negroni right now either. But I do like them. Just for the tally, pro Negroni.
Honestly, yeah, I mean, but I don't think they're that difficult to make.
It's the easiest thing.
There's other things that you could.
This
Really
guy did
dislike.
proceed to shake it, but yeah.
Oh
Oh,
no,
my.
no, he didn't. No,
Yeah,
he didn't.
He did.
No,
I was one time at Lavaca after getting off a shift, and the bartender that was working with me asked for a Negroni, and she put it in the shaker and she shook it, and then sprayed it back out, and he literally asked her to remake it.
Hell yeah,
And,
fuck that.
yeah.
We had a Manhattan on the menu.
She got so mad. She was so pissed that she had to remake it.
Learn your fucking role. You
Yeah.
know,
Bro, we had a Manhattan on the menu, and apparently, I don't know what the hell it is, if there's older viewers here, like, apparently in the early 2000s, people shook Manhattans, but, like, he swore by that, and he was like, okay, I know that corporate's saying I should
See, that was that
this.
one guy that worked in the bar, that one bar for the 8 years fully, and he just shook it the whole time because nobody had the heart the entire 8
to
years to
fucking
tell
say a
him.
word.
But this
to
is
him.
also like the kind of geezer that, this is also kind of old timer. Like, this dude's so old school. He's like muddling fruit in his old fashioned. You dig what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
it's one of those.
Yeah. I've been there.
He misses the sugar cube days.
don't we all?
Yeah.
Back when we could afford a house.
Yeah. Sugar cubes are expensive.
Don't tell me that, man. The American dream.
How do you feel about Negronis?
I'm with them. No problem. You know what I mean?
No
I don't-
issues?
yeah.
I love a Negroni. I
Yeah.
think Negroni's great.
I'm particular about my gin. That's the only thing. You know what I mean? There's just certain things I think don't mix with other things. Just because it's a gin doesn't mean it needs to go.
What's the worst gin, in your opinion?
I mean,
Like a Taka?
I wouldn't even touch that. I'm
Yeah, of
surprised I'm
course.
drinking what we're drinking right now.
Yeah.
I haven't had that in years, and there's nothing wrong with it. I just
Oh, there's
damn,
something wrong with
fucking
it.
hardcore, dude.
I'm a big country music guy, and like they dropped this in a lot of them. So I'm like, all right, cool. Product placement's pretty serious. Like, it's a thing.
I mean, it tastes like I remember it for sure.
As long as it's not Fireball.
I wouldn't have touched it if it was
Yeah, I wouldn't
Fireball.
have touched it either.
I was born on Canada Day, so I got like a small like kind of place in my heart for this stuff. So
So
Okay.
funny enough, Seagram's gin was the first gin I ever had, and I learned how to do it just on the rocks at like 16 years old.
That sounds
So
awful.
when like I said, I had like a super GM, like super strict mom, right? I was 19 underage. She found me with a bottle of Taka vodka underneath my bed when I was like 20 years old, right? She wakes me up at 4 a.m. when she's head off to work. I'm getting off work 'cause I'm already bartending at that age. And she was like, yo, what the hell are you doing in McCormick? I don't know what you do with your dad's side of the family, but you're never going to embarrass me like this again. Slaps the shit out of me. Mind you, I'm 19 years old. And she's like, I don't even know where she got it from. It like appeared out thin air, but she grabbed the bottle of Grey Goose and just pressed it into me. I'm waking up out of bed. And she was like, don't you ever embarrass me like that again. And at that point, I knew, like, all right, I drink Grey Goose, apparently.
Dude, I'm allergic to Grey Goose.
Apparently,
Well, if you're at my house, you're drinking. If you come over for Christmas, you're drinking Grey Goose.
I'm not
sorry.
drinking Grey Goose. I'll have like a whole.
Hey, we got an EpiPen on deck, bro. We'll have the
just
tamales,
make
we'll have
me
the
chug
turkey,
it?
then we'll have like some EpiPens for you,
I'm down. I put it on a platter.
right?
We got to film this if this happens. I just got to know what happens.
I break out into like a massive rash for no reason. I think it just has to do with like the distillation
Yeah,
process.
yeah.
Of
But it's only Grey Goose,
so
or is
far,
it vodka?
I get like white girl wasted off vodka, like anyways.
Okay.
If I drink Tito's at any point, I like somehow black out that.
That's
day.
wild.
Yeah.
Well, I'll ask one more, and then Rome. We'll talk about the fuck Rome day, and then we'll close this out. But give me your top 5 alcohols. So just do basically like vodka, tequila, rum, whiskey, gin. 1 being your favorite, 5 being the one that you dislike or like the least.
Okay, if we're going me personally, I go mezcal number 1. But if we're going just everybody,
We can tequila and mezcal, scotch and whiskey go together, so it's valid.
I disagree. Mezcal number 1 for me, gin number 2, scotch number 3, tequila number 4, whiskey number 5.
You're gonna do it like that?
Yeah,
Because I'm saying you can put tequila and mezcal. You're making your own pyramid here, but that's okay.
I have to because like
That's okay.
mezcal is like. So I really appreciate mezcal. It's like the most pure form. Mezcal is its own thing. It deserves its own.
But you're knocking some of the other ones off to put some other ones in there. So I'm saying you can group
whiskey
them.
and scotch together because they're both scotch whiskey.
Okay.
Tequila and mezcal.
Although I do agree with
No,
the
and I
point,
get what he's saying,
Yeah.
but for the game purposes, we can't knock
Okay,
off vodka
okay. If we're gonna do
because-
that, if we're gonna
or
do that-
rum or whatever.
Yeah, we got to hear how bad vodka is out loud.
There's so many industry people that fucking hate vodka that come on the
Fucking
show.
hate vodka.
It's amazing.
I do love vodka. Like vodka is usually my first choice. If I'm out and about, I'll drink a vodka.
It's top 3 for me.
Really?
Whiskey. This is actually the first whiskey I've had since I started drinking again.
Wow.
I'm
I
sorry
just
to hear
don't-
that.
I mean, I can handle it.
Sucks.
Is that
Yeah,
right?
we should have got him some Macallan or something.
No, I'll be doing
My
romance afterwards anyways.
my
It's all
first
good.
drink when I
That's
turned
ridiculous.
21 was a fucking Macallan and
It
Sprite.
says no to Fireball, but goes for Rumpelman.
Yeah, fuck Fireball.
God.
Unless Fireball wants to pay me, and then I love
Then else-
Fireball.
yeah, Fireball's
It's the best
great.
thing in the world.
I love Fireball.
This is my Fireball Martini.
That would be sick.
All right, so
Let's push it.
give me your 5 with the rules in play.
Okay, with the rules in play, let's go tequila mezcal number 1.
Okay.
Let's go. Actually, scratch that. Let's go gin number 1. Gin is always supreme. Let's go tequila mezcal number 2. Let's go Kentucky bourbon specifically, but whiskey, bourbon, scotch, whatever the fuck you want to group number 3.
Okay.
Vodka is a close number 4. I love vodka. I drink that on my usual days off.
But why is that number 4 if you were doing a top 5? If you like it that much.
Because I love alcohol in general. Like,
Right.
I love just the art of it. But I mean, but vodka exists just to make things alcoholic. I think as bartenders we're subjected to it
And that's
because
why I
we've
hate
all had
vodka, other than
horrible
blacking out.
experiences with it. But realistically, I mean, vodka is like it holds its own. I mean, Russian culture. I live in Houston, so that's the most diverse city in the world. It passed up New York. Amsterdam and London might be a little
I
bit
feel
ahead.
like the people in Texas skew polls.
Dude, this is like a national poll.
They said that Austin was the best nightlife.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I just have such a hard time believing over like
It's just
Dubai and Tokyo and
But Austin,
it is great nightlife. Don't get me wrong, it's wonderful nightlife.
okay. So Austin, y'all have a nice.
Better than New York,
No.
better than Miami.
Right. That's
Yeah.
that's the one
You
that
know.
was like, you sure? But
Well, what do you define as nightlife?
I mean, I think it's just the diversity of
If we're going
Bars.
diversity, then New York's over everybody, and London's over everybody.
right. But New York is so much bigger than Austin, so I think for per square foot, maybe they're doing some science on that or something. Who knows?
That could be true. Yeah, they
That might
could be
be.
like compacting it to a specific.
Yeah, because New
Amount of
York's
area.
fucking huge compared to Austin in that sense.
I mean, I've lived in both.
Yeah, so is Miami. So
Right.
like by cubic feet, like of course there's going to be more diversity.
I've lived in both.
But Miami is still like one of the most diverse places I've ever been in my whole life.
Miami
and I've
was-
been to Houston and Miami.
But maybe it's because so many different people from Miami and New York and Chicago and LA are all
Migrating.
they're bringing places here and opening them. So maybe that
That is true.
So that's a good example of A-Leaf is technically the most diverse neighborhood in the world. Like back in Houston, we have the most diverse county in the world in Fort Bend County, and A-Leaf is like right outside of that. It's super like our street signs are in different languages, so that's actually pretty interesting too.
That's super cool.
Dude, it's nuts. And there's so much diversity and culture in it, but you start to see it get gentrified by like second generation kids. And they come and they inherit their parents' restaurants and just take it in a different direction. So like when you think about it, Houston actually does have a really dope diversity. But
Especially with food. Food in Houston's phenomenal.
No, yeah, it is. But it's just like the bar scene isn't there yet just because I don't think the techniques are. And mind you,
I just think it's the education of the people in Texas, honestly. I really think that if we somehow like upgraded the knowledge of people's understanding of the restaurant industry, we would be there.
I'm going to get crucified.
But that's the part that's lacking.
I'm going to get crucified for this.
Okay.
I think Dallas is there.
I would agree with that.
I think Dallas is there.
I think there's some heavier hitters in Dallas.
I think I would, if I were to bring the Michelin star guide to Dallas right now, if I were to bring it to Texas, I would go Dallas first.
Exactly. Yeah, I would agree with that.
I think Houston has the better bang for your buck.
But people in Dallas are usually a little bit more educated in the culture of things, I feel like, for some reason.
Dallas also has a very East Coast vibe. As someone that lived in the East Coast, it's a very East Coast style. So Houston's interesting, too, because it's in the three markets. Austin's very California.
Pass me the whiskey. Sorry to interrupt.
100%.
I love that.
No, so Dallas is very East Coast vibes. Houston's very like Southern traditional. Then you have Austin, which is very California. So honestly, Texas is an extremely diverse state when you look at the U.S. as a whole.
Sure.
We have all three cultures just kind of like cultivated into one area. But realistically, Dallas is kind of doing like the thing right now.
Yeah, like if you brought like a devil may care to Dallas, I feel like it would do even better.
Very, very well.
Because
100%.
like there's a respect behind the science. Like there's so much like every cocktail there is clarified. Like almost every single thing goes through a process of the batching that it will be actually appreciated because of the education of clientele and the people that have appreciation for those things, because you're trying to sell like an $18 drink being a strawberry soda with strawberry caviar that was made just the day before, right next to like a little Woodrow's that sells a tequila soda for $7, and it's very hard to beat that type of mentality.
Mind you, little Woodrow's like the pride of Houston right now. Like we're
really,
yeah. So we just opened one by my house. Fuck. But the whole point is like Dallas is actually like really ahead when it comes to. And mind you, I've seen all three big cities. I'd like to think Houston's the big one, but Dallas is really ahead as far as just like the technique goes. You can take a 22-year-old bartender out of Dallas, and they will know things that we won't know yet, just because of the level of competition too. The level of competition, honestly, is what plays the biggest role in these differing cities. Like Houston, we still have our spots that just aren't there yet. For a long time, we relied on the Papa's chain, we relied on the Landry's chain, and it just kind of came to fruition to where it's like these places have plateaus. And we went corporate for so long because we just chose to be the working class. We're basically Cleveland of the South. Like, it's very trendy. It's very cool. It's very cool right now. It's a great migration, but it's like...
You're losing authenticity because of those second generation people taking over their parents' restaurants and stuff.
Well, that's the only authenticity. We have the potential for authenticity right there, and it's still there, but there's also a drop-off at that point.
Do you think the thing with Austin not maybe being there yet is because there's so many different people that move here from different places? Because there's certain bartenders in certain places that we shouldn't sleep on in Austin, but collectively as a whole, maybe everyone's not all there.
I disagree with that. I do think collectively as a whole, Austin is there. I think collectively as a
whole...
Well,
I'm saying from what he's saying.
Yeah.
Because he's saying it's not there.
I'm saying clientele. It's just like the people that are up in, the really nice part of West Austin that lives up in the hills and stuff, they're just door dashing shit to their house, man, and making their own cocktails. Like, those people aren't really going out and seeing, like, those are the people that actually do appreciate, the amount of work and labor that goes into making cocktails or going through a batching program isn't really there necessarily because they just think this is a drink. You know, and the story rarely gets told here in Austin of like, there's not a lot of bartenders that are going to tell you the story of like where Cosmo came from, or how even the Mexican martini was created here in, you know, the 80s. Like those things aren't talked about, and the education of that is not shared anymore from bartender to client. And I think it's made it hard for us to even make more money, to be honest, and make other bars to make more money, because it's not the bartenders that are bad necessarily, other than the fact that we're not educating the customer, but it's the customer that just doesn't have the knowledge or the appreciation, because they're there to get drunk here in Texas. It's less of a like a ranch water, like the fact that we even called things a Cape Cod, and like, and that's.
But is that on us to educate them?
A little bit, yes, definitely.
You know?
I would say so. Yeah, it's definitely on us to be like.
But to put it on perspective too, like you're dealing with a generation that Austin's a high concentration of transplants, so it's very much like you're dealing with a clientele that's constantly changing and expanding.
Yeah.
So from there, it's like, what do we do?
If that's the case, then I feel like I would see an increase in that area. You know, you would see an increase in knowledge of like people that are from like the West or the East Coast that might have those things. But I think as a service industry as a whole, it's really being about being a bartender or being a server that actually educates people on the history of where these things came from, because that's what we're losing right now. And we're losing that history. And because we're losing the history of these things, it's not a new and trendy thing. We're trying to uphold classic cocktails.
Really?
We could call something a classic cocktail tomorrow if we just make it and it's spread out through knowledge, like say through this, and we just made up a cocktail right now and we call it the Redheaded Pirates per se, you know?
Right.
And then you talked about it and he talked about it, and it would just, you know, light a fire. And then that becomes a modern classic cocktail.
So then that starts a new debate. Like, is Austin turning into LA? Is it glitz and glam? And is it a bunch of like, you know, yuppie engineers coming here and just thinking like, okay, we're, you know, a bunch of tech guys.
But the thing is, those tech guys and those engineers are the people that actually appreciate that education.
Now,
versus the frat boys and the UT kids that don't, you know, that don't give a shit.
Well,
Some of them do, but it's more so the other. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I can't write off a whole demographic of people, but my point is like there's a little bit more of appreciation from
Well,
that.
I understand that. Is it also up to our generation? Because like we're a generation past like where Papa Brothers Steakhouse, or we're like, you know, Eddie V's, or we're like, you know, these fine dining establishments where the upper class win and learn their culture.
Yeah, that's very true.
How are we holding this culture? Because Austin is a culture. It's like San Francisco in the 60s. It's youth and revolt. It's this culture that's just clashing. And it's honestly like really changing. Because when you think about Facebook, Joe Rogan, all these people are setting up bases in Austin.
Yeah.
What are we doing to educate this class?
I think it's a lack of passion, and that comes from bartenders, to be honest.
Okay, so this is on us.
Fairly, yes, honestly. But that's not to say
Some of it.
Yeah, some of it. You can't like take full responsibility. It takes two to tango, especially in this situation.
Where I go from is like, and this is just full circle, and this is the first I've ever really thought of it this deeply. I remember seeing Ian Fleming's bartender in the books make a Vesper. I remember seeing Sean Connery and Pierce Bromson. I just think about that was such a cool elegance behind making a Vesper. Are we not providing those people with that experience in this day and age?
We're providing it, but we're not educating them on why.
But I'll tell you what I think the biggest thing is, and I've seen it the most in this city. I think even though there's an influx of different people from all over moving here, you never know where they've come from. Maybe they don't give a fuck about that drink or whatever. And even if you try to educate them, they don't care. But these owners of these bars do not take care of their people. So when you are behind the bar, why are you going to give a fuck? And you, as much as you may want to, and you're doing your best, you just realized, oh, well, my paycheck was fucking $1,500 shorter than it should have been, and I don't know why.
Yep.
It's stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem I've seen in this city, personally.
Definitely just experienced that here in Austin.
Yeah.
Definitely just went through that.
So it starts from the top. I can definitely agree with that. Because of Houston, we have an epidemic of that where we have a lot of really great establishments. We have a lot of really great places with a lot of potential. But a lot of really fantastic operators are going under because they can't keep up with these people that move here and just go to a cheaper city and can open like a trendy place that's going to be hot for 3 months, you know?
Yeah.
So so Houston is honestly getting hit with that harder than everybody. That's why at this point I refuse to do openings.
Yeah.
Because we just see an influx of these people that come and they just don't understand the actual nature of the industry. You know, I feel bad
For the culture in the area, for the most part.
100%. Like, dude, I'm going into my 30s right now. I'm 29 years old. I want to go into my prime right now. My mother has worked her entire life in the restaurant industry. She knows the ins and outs of it. She knows the fucking structural architecture behind a building. And, of course, the American dream is you open your own spot. But how can I, in good faith, allow her to spend her savings on that, knowing there's a douchebag that made his fortune in tech that's going to come here, or oil, or, you know, whatever, maybe family money, and you can't compete with him because he's going to have a hot spot with a bunch of douchebag friends for a couple of months, and you're going to provide a good product that you can't compete with them. The rent has increased, the products have increased. You don't understand the amount of waste and labor that goes into this actual industry because you've just been slave and you've been, well, with all due respect to my mother, like you've been, you know, a worker all of these years. You don't actually know what the cost of ownership is. So at that point, it comes to like, what is our hope as people in this industry? Like when that question was posed to me earlier, what is my end goal? Honestly, it's just to keep learning because there is a doomer mentality. Because like, mind you, I'm a millennial. So it's like, do I really think I'm going to own my own house one day? I mean, probably not. Do I think I'm going to own my own bar one day? Maybe if I'm lucky. But at the end of the day, I'm still going to have to gentrify an area. I'm still going to have to bring a bunch of regulars.
Man, you can make it all happen.
I mean,
anything's possible, yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the idea. That's the American dream, right? But like, where do we come from this? Like,
you got to make it your own.
The whole point is like,
you've already proved how adaptive you are,
right?
You know, so why wouldn't there be a belief system like intact, believing that you could have those things?
And there's going to be investors that would believe in you too,
yeah,
and your vision.
But at that point though, like there's investors that also want to appeal in the like spicy new.
Well, you want to make sure that it's somebody that matches what your vision is, but they're going to talk with you and you're going to talk with them and make sure that all lines up. You know what I mean? But there are people out there that will see your vision. Seriously.
Granted.
All right, guys. Well, we do have to close this out soon. We've been going for over an hour now, actually.
We love it.
We don't have to talk about the fuck Rome. We can save that for another time. But I do think we are starting to get into some pretty good conversation. I do like it. But we got to talk about your top 5.
Oh, yeah.
Real quick.
Forgot about that. So my top 5 to play with or to just drink? To drink, it's definitely going to be tequila mezcal. It's going to be gin. It's going to be rum. And it's going to be whiskey then vodka.
Okay. Y'all still put vodka near the bottom. It's amazing you both put gin near the top, though. I knew I liked you guys.
I absolutely love gin.
Knew I liked you guys.
You have to.
To do everything with it.
You don't have a palate unless you put gin near the top.
Yeah, I agree with that.
How long is your fuck Rome story?
Long story short, everyone was addicted to me one day.
Spark Notes version of it.
Yeah. My girlfriend broke up to me over some stupid shit, and I was like, you know what? Okay, you want to say fuck Rome? Everyone can say fuck Rome because at the end of the day, like, you're just making a character for yourself. Like the bartender persona never leaves.
Yeah.
That's why I don't have a bartending page. I'm not supposed to. I'm just.
That's the same way I don't have a bartending page.
You're not supposed to. Like at the end of the day,
mine
people
isn't
come
Christian
to see
at
me.
bartending.
I'm not trying to fucking make money off of you people. This is me, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, I brand myself.
I'm the fucking kid that started bartending when I was 15. This is my way out the hood. Here I am.
Yep.
So like, anyways, okay.
I love that though.
Yeah, 100%. It's authentic. So okay, you know what? You want to authentically say fuck Rome? Hey, you want to authentically say fuck Rome? You know who it is? I was like, okay, everybody can say fuck Rome. So we had a big bartending contest in Austin, back in Houston, right? Every competitor here is going to take a picture flicking me off. All of the high-end bartenders that are here are going to take a picture flicking me off. And you're going to see it all over your feed. And it is also going to get me like an extra 70K views.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Use those negative interactions.
The whole point is,
your advantage.
Fuck Rome Day is all about building a character. That's all you got to do. Everyone listening to this, be who the fuck you want to be and make the most out of it. If you want to be a villain, be a villain. If you want to be a hero, be a hero. You're going to be both either way.
That's true. You will.
I love it. Well, Rome Christian, we got to do this again soon because I think we started to dive into some pretty good
cool
shit.
topics.
We really did.
Yeah, usually.
Yeah. Just took a minute, but We got there.
Yeah, the whiskey
The
helped a
fucking
little
whiskey.
bit. I haven't drank whiskey in a very long time.
Next time we'll have gin.
Do you want to give your handles before we close out here?
Yeah, I am Insecure Camel on Instagram and on TikTok. Definitely give me a follow. Hit me up if you live in Austin. Might take care of you at the bar.
At hopeless.rome.antics, fucking quadruple entendre. Hit me up anytime.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.